is part 2 of the BF MFT Workbench build. In part 1, we built the base of the bench using spaced aged extruded aluminum paired with 18mm pre-finished Baltic birch of the highest grade. In part 2, we will continue the multi-function platform by adding the top, various storage mechanisms, and other features aimed towards making a more pleasant working environment.
So when I last left you, I had just gotten word that my bench top was ready at the CNC shop. I went and picked it up and started the installation process. The first step was to mark the mounting holes. Once that was done, I could drill a countersink for the button heads, slide in the self-aligning nut from the 80-20, and then bolt the top down secure. I did a mounting point at each corner and then one in the middle of each long side. And once the top was mounted, I decided to add a bevel to the edge, just for a little protection from the bumps and bruises that were sure to come. The next step was to add a bevel to each dog hole, just to make them a bit more approachable. That's when I noticed something.
So I just finished squaring my top to the table. I beveled the edges, and I was starting to go around to the dog holes and put a small bevel around each one, just to make it easier to insert dogs. And I did the edges of the table first, and then I started going towards the middle, and as I got to the middle of the table, each dog hole got wonkier and wonkier. I don't know if the guy that I used to do the CNC work is having some gantry issues or what, but what you're looking at now is scrap. Son of a...
So after throwing a fit, I gave in to my persistence and made friends with the guy at the local makerspace. He agreed to help, so I bought another really nice sheet of Plum Creek MDF and we went at it again. For reasons I can't explain or even fathom, we had better but similar results. The first few test holes were great, but the longer the machine worked, the more out of round and sort of inconsistent the holes got. I have to think the answer to this problem lay somewhere in a book about speeds and feeds, but at this point, I was ready to stop throwing money at it and just get back to my project. I knew this top wasn't going to work for me long term, but I decided to finish it anyway. I secured it to the bench, beveled the edges, and then sanded it to prepare for a finish I'd heard about and wanted to test. Essentially, it's just a 50-50 mix of wipe-on poly and mineral spirits. I did 5 coats and loved the results. It's so thin that it penetrates the MDF really well and doesn't foul the dog holes, but with enough coats, the MDF becomes far less porous and much harder. Anyway, we will get back to this top later. For now, let's move on to the sustainer drawers. My bench has 4 sustainer columns on each long side. However, because this bench is 4 feet wide, there's the potential for a lot of wasted space down the center. To combat this and fill that unusable space, I decided to make the sustainer shelves on one side of the bench double deep. I've also decided to change up the construction of the sustainer drawers. Now this is an older sustainer drawer that I built a couple of years ago, and the sustainer itself is located with this block in back and the small block up front with a notch, and that notch just receives the sustainer peg. And so once in place, it's locked in place. And this has worked great for me for a couple of years now, but it's not a very elegant solution. And I noticed online that a lot of guys have been doing something similar to this. And again, this is just a 1/2-inch piece of ply, but I've machined out pockets. And these pockets receive the feet of the sustainer. So same result, the sustainer's locked in place and not going anywhere, but it looks a lot cleaner. And I've decided I'm going to try this out. It took me a couple of test runs, but eventually I was able to set up my CNC so that it was batching out these drawers almost as fast as I could cut the blanks. They needed a small amount of cleanup once the CNC was done with them, but the fit was virtually perfect. And with those done, I could move on to installing the drawer pulls. I found a place online that sells extruded aluminum pulls in just about any length you would want. So I ordered some pre-cut to my own dimensions and then just drilled and countersunk some holes that allowed me to screw them into the drawers from the bottom. Next, I installed the slides using a piece of 1/8 inch ply under the drawer so that the slide would be centered on my 1/2 inch ply drawer bottom.
The very first thing the new task force did was admit something that BPD had refused.
The only thing left to do now was to install the slides in the bench. I just cut spacers out of scrap for each size sustainer and then used them to set the spacing of each drawer slide. Because I pre-installed the bottom slide before I assembled the bench, there was no real measuring to do. Just set in your spacer, screw in your slide, and then move on to the next. This worked out perfect, and before long I had more sustainer storage spots than I had sustainers. Next on the list, drawers. On the plan, there are 3 main drawers on one side of the bench. These are going to be used for storing parallel guides, measuring tools, and things like that. The only real complication here is that these drawers measure close to 4 feet wide. Having never built a drawer that wide, I was a little concerned about integrity of the boxes as well as racking. But I figured the best way to learn was to do, and got to work cutting what little 1/2 inch scrap I had into drawer sides, fronts, and backs. While I was at it, and while I was thinking about the strength of these boxes, I decided to cut 1/2 inch dados into each as well. Once all of that machining was done, I got my first opportunity to use the bench as a work surface and clamping jig. Having so much real estate while fitting dominoes and cutting pocket holes was amazing, and it actually sort of motivated me to keep going during a period of the project where I was starting to lose focus a little bit. In any regard, with the drawer fronts and sides machined and ready to go, I could measure for the bottoms and cut them precisely. I decided to use 1/2 inch ply here, figuring the extra thickness would help with rigidity of such wide drawer boxes.
So the first thing I do after I get my dominoes cut and my pocket holes drilled is I do a dry fit. And the reason I do that is because I have a tendency to put my dominoes on the wrong surface or register off the wrong surface, and I end up with misalignments. I've actually already done that on one of these drawers, but it wasn't that big of a deal because I did a dry fit first and I recognized the problem before I got the glue out and got in a stressful situation. But yeah, now that this is done and everything looks to be fitting well and I'm ready to go, I can take this apart and start the glue up. So since I'm working with pre-finished plywood here, I can't just use regular wood glue and get a good strong bond. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use regular wood glue for both my domino joints as well as for the bottom because I'm dadoed in and I have good raw wood to bite to. However, on these sides, I've got to use something else, and I'm going to try this Titebond polyurethane glue. This stuff is a lot like Gorilla Glue in that it's water activated and then it foams up, makes a huge mess, is a pain to work with. But in this instance, it actually works pretty well. I've done it on a few drawers already and I've had pretty good success. It feels nice and strong. So it's a little extra complicated step, but I think it's worth it. So yeah, let me get going.
I start by scuffing the pre-finished ply in the areas that will receive the polyester glue, and you can see that I added tape to not only demark the areas to be scuffed, but also to help me with that foaming squeeze out that is sure to come. Once that is done, I just use Titebond 3 for the dominoes, and then the polyester stuff for the pre-finished surfaces. I use clamps just to help me get everything aligned and squared while I drive in the pocket screws, and you can kind of tell in this footage that I'm still not 100% sure of myself doing this stuff, but these drawers actually came together pretty well. I think the 1/2 inch bottoms was a good move because as soon as I got them glued in, these boxes went from a sloppy mess to a good rigid structure. To install the drawers into the bench, I used the same method I used on my last sustainer cart. I won't bore you in great detail, but essentially I just get the slides installed straight and level using appropriate spacers made from scrap. Then I slide the drawer in between the slides and drive a screw into the first hole on each side. Once done, I then remove the drawer from the cabinet and drive in the rest of the screws using a square to make sure the slide stays parallel to the bottom of the drawer. The only notable thing here is that I used 2 pairs of slides on the larger bottom drawer, hoping to combat racking. I don't know if this was necessary or not, but I can tell you that these drawers slide well, and I haven't experienced any problem at all with racking. Anyway, I just repeated this process for all 3 drawers, and when I was done, I was ready to start thinking about drawer fronts. I had been saving a piece of scrap 3/4 inch Baltic birch for my drawer fronts since the project started. My idea was to first laminate it with some of my favorite Wilson Art laminate, trim and square the piece with the table saw and MFT, and then cut it to the exact width of my drawer opening. From there, I could then measure for the height of each drawer and cut each piece to the exact measurement as I needed it. Then I could just soften the edges with a tiny roundover bit in my router and finally install the drawer pull.
To attach the drawer fronts, I'll drill a 5/16 inch hole through the carcass itself, and then I'll use these drawer front screws. I got these from Rockler, I think. They have a big head on it, and what this does with the smaller shank is it gives you a little bit of adjustability once it's mounted. So it's, especially if you're working by yourself, it makes things a little easier. To space my drawer front, they make jigs for this. What I typically do is I use nickels. And this one I'm getting a little bit tighter, so I'm using a nickel for my bottom spacing and just a dime to space my sides. So I've already got the nickels in there. So that space, these nickels space it off the bottom of the cabinet. And then I can use a dime on each side to make sure. Well, yeah, there we go. So now I know I'm centered in the cabinet and I'm ready to screw it in.
I just repeated this process all the way up the bench, and because I was cutting my drawer fronts as I went, the top drawer ended up being sized and spaced perfectly. Around this time, I got an email from my new CNC guy saying that my top was ready for pickup. Fine lumber and plywood is about an hour from me, but Eric had been working with me through email, going as far as to send videos of his progress with dog fitment, tolerances, and I mean, these folks went way out of their way to make sure I got my money's worth this time. So yeah, their customer service is worthy of being written about on stone. I quickly got the top home and got it attached to the bench, got the edges beveled, and got it ready for finish work. Again, I used a 50-50 mixture of wipe-on poly and mineral spirits, but this time I put 4 coats on the bottom side and 15 coats on the top. Since this finish dries so quickly, you can do a coat about every hour and a half, and I just sort of got addicted to applying it. Hour after hour, I was out in the shop applying this stuff. It's crazy, really, but damn, it sure looks nice. Once it fully cures, I might even add a coat of wax to it.
Well, she's done. For the most part anyways. This is really more of a foundation to the bench. To make this thing usable and practical in the shop, there's all kinds of additions I need to make. Things like a fence and a guide rail pivot that's 90 to that fence, clamping accessories, and all sorts of other things come next. So yeah, I guess stay tuned.